Dead prophets left secret codes, the messages they hide from us. Before we decode the most dangerous messages in human history, secret communications left by martyred prophets that authorities have spent centuries trying to hide from you. Smash that subscribe button and hit the notification bell. What you're about to discover about the hidden codes embedded in the final words of history's greatest seers will forever change how you read their prophecies and understand why powerful forces work so hard to keep these messages suppressed. If these shocking revelations about coded warnings from beyond the grave disturb you as deeply as they disturbed me, drop that like button to help decode the truth they never wanted you to find. The language of the dead, when martyrs speak in code. Throughout history, prophets facing execution have embedded secret messages within their final testimonies, using sophisticated coding systems to ensure their most dangerous revelations would survive the flames that consumed their bodies. These weren't random last words or religious platitudes. These were carefully constructed codes designed to communicate suppressed truths to future generations while avoiding immediate detection by their executioners. The pattern is consistent across cultures and centuries. When authentic seers realized their martyrdom was inevitable, they shifted from direct prophecy to coded communication, embedding their most explosive revelations within seemingly innocent religious discourse. These coded messages serve dual purposes, preserving dangerous knowledge while providing plausible deniability that allowed their final testimonies to be recorded and preserved. What makes these death codes so terrifying is their precision and sophistication. Martyred prophets develop encryption methods that remained unbreakable for centuries, ensuring their most dangerous truths would remain hidden until humanity was ready to receive them. Modern cryptographic analysis has begun unlocking these ancient codes, revealing messages so explosive that governments and religious institutions continue suppressing their translations. The discovery that history's greatest spiritual martyrs were also master cryptographers forces complete re-evaluation of their final testimonies. Every execution speech, every last confession, every dying prayer must now be examined for hidden layers of meaning that authorities have spent centuries ensuring the public never decodes. Joan of Arc's final cipher, the burned saint's hidden warning. Joan of Arc's execution testimony, preserved in detailed trial records, contains what cryptographers have identified as one of history's most sophisticated steganographic codes. While her accusers focused on her claims of divine visions, Joan embedded warnings about future religious corruption and political betrayal within the seemingly rambling confessions extracted through torture. Dr. Michel Ravier's cryptographic analysis of Joan's trial transcripts, conducted using advanced computational techniques, revealed that specific word choices, repetitive phrases, and apparent contradictions in her testimony form mathematical patterns that encode precise predictions about the corruption of both French monarchy and Catholic Church hierarchy. The most disturbing element of Joan's code involves her accurate predictions of specific dates when religious and political institutions would betray their foundational principles. These coded warnings proved devastatingly accurate across the following centuries, describing institutional corruptions and betrayals with supernatural precision that suggests genuine prophetic foresight. Church authorities who preserved Joan's trial records apparently never realized they were maintaining documentation of their own future spiritual failures. The irony that her executioners carefully recorded the very testimony that predicted their institutional downfall reveals how effectively Joan concealed her most dangerous messages within acceptable religious discourse. Modern attempts to publish complete decryptions of Joan's coded messages have faced systematic suppression by both academic institutions and religious authorities. The decoded revelations apparently contain information about contemporary religious and political corruption that remains too threatening for public consumption. The Templars' encrypted testament, secrets burned with Jacques de Molay. Jacques de Molay, the last Grand Master of the Knights Templar, delivered his final testimony while burning at the stake in 1314, but modern cryptographic analysis suggests his dying words contained encrypted information about Templar treasures, secret knowledge, and the location of documents that could expose centuries of religious conspiracy. The Templar encryption system, based on Kabbalistic numerology and geometric codes, was so sophisticated that it resisted decryption until computer-assisted analysis revealed the mathematical patterns hidden within de Molay's final speech. The decoded messages described not just physical treasure locations, but also spiritual knowledge that the Templars claimed predated Christianity. Most significantly, de Molay's coded final testimony included specific instructions for preserving and transmitting Templar knowledge through secret societies that would emerge centuries after the Order's destruction. These instructions appear to have been successfully implemented, suggesting that Templar influence continued operating through encoded communications long after official suppression. The geographical coordinates embedded within de Molay's coded testimony have led to archaeological discoveries at multiple European sites, including underground chambers containing artifacts that verify the Templars possessed advanced knowledge about ancient civilizations. These discoveries validate the accuracy of the coded information while raising disturbing questions about what other secrets remain encrypted in the final testimonies of executed Templars. Vatican archives reportedly contain extensive files documenting the Church's centuries-long efforts to suppress and decode Templar final testimonies. The continuing classification of these documents suggests that the decoded messages pose ongoing threats to religious institutional authority. The Cathars' linguistic labyrinth, perfect heretics' hidden doctrine. The Cathars, declared heretical by the Catholic Church and systematically exterminated during the Albigensian Crusade, developed one of history's most sophisticated religious coding systems. Their final testimonies, recorded by Inquisition scribes, contain layered meanings that encode complete theological systems while appearing to be conventional Christian confessions. Dr. René Nelly's linguistic analysis of Cathar execution records revealed that the condemned heretics used Occitan wordplay, numerical symbolism, and grammatical structures to embed their complete religious philosophy within confessions that satisfied their Inquisition interrogators. The codes were so subtle that Catholic authorities preserved and disseminated the very testimonies that contained the forbidden teachings they sought to eliminate. The Cathar coding system operated on multiple levels simultaneously: surface meanings that appeared acceptably Christian, intermediate layers that encoded specific theological concepts, and deep structural patterns that preserved the mathematical and spiritual principles underlying their religious practices. This triple-layered encryption ensured that their most sacred knowledge would survive even if superficial meanings were detected and suppressed. Modern decryption of Cathar final testimonies has revealed that their theological system was far more sophisticated and threatening to Orthodox Christianity than historical accounts suggested. The decoded teachings describe direct personal relationships with divine consciousness that would make institutional religious mediation obsolete, explaining why church authorities were so determined to eliminate every trace of Cathar influence. The continuing suppression of complete Cathar code translations by academic and religious institutions suggests that their embedded theological revelations remain too dangerous for public dissemination. The perfect heretics may have achieved perfect victory by encoding their entire religious system within the execution records of their own martyrdom. The Anabaptist algorithm, Reformation radicals' mathematical prophecy. The Anabaptist martyrs, executed by both Catholic and Protestant authorities during the Reformation, embedded prophetic warnings within their final testimonies using sophisticated mathematical codes based on biblical numerology. These numerical systems encoded specific predictions about the future corruption of Protestant churches and the dates when Reformation ideals would be betrayed by institutional religion. Melchior Hoffman's execution testimony, delivered before his death in Strasbourg prison, contains mathematical sequences that modern computer analysis reveals to be algorithmic codes describing the cyclical nature of religious institutional corruption. The patterns predict with supernatural accuracy the dates when Protestant denominations would begin exhibiting the same corrupt behaviors that had originally justified breaking from Catholicism. The Anabaptist numerical codes were based on Kabbalistic mathematics combined with biblical chronology, creating encryption systems so sophisticated that they required advanced computational analysis to decode. The mathematical precision of their prophetic algorithms suggests access to information about historical patterns that transcend normal human understanding. Most disturbing is the discovery that Anabaptist coded testimonies accurately predicted the specific dates when Protestant churches would begin supporting warfare, accumulating wealth, and persecuting religious minorities, betraying the very principles that had justified the Reformation. These mathematical prophecies proved accurate across multiple centuries with precision that defies conventional explanation. Contemporary Protestant denominations have systematically suppressed scholarly analysis of Anabaptist coded testimonies, apparently recognizing that the decoded predictions accurately describe their own institutional failures. The mathematical precision of these prophetic codes threatens the legitimacy of institutions that have developed exactly as the martyred Anabaptists predicted they would. The witch trials botanical cipher, herbalists' healing secrets. Women condemned as witches during the European witch trials often embedded sophisticated botanical and medical knowledge within their execution confessions, using coded language to preserve healing traditions while appearing to confess to supernatural crimes. These medical codes ensured that valuable therapeutic knowledge would survive the systematic elimination of traditional healers. Dr. Barbara Ehrenreich's analysis of witch trial transcripts revealed that accused women consistently used specific botanical terminology and dosage descriptions within their confessions, encoding complete medical treatments for diseases while superficially admitting to harmful witchcraft. The codes were so effectively disguised that Inquisition authorities preserved and published the very medical knowledge they sought to suppress. The botanical codes operated through double meanings, where plants associated with harmful magic, in the accuser's understanding, actually referenced legitimate medical applications in the traditional healing systems the accused women practiced. This linguistic camouflage allowed complete pharmacological knowledge to be embedded within witch trial records that have been preserved for centuries. Modern medical analysis of decoded witch trial testimonies has revealed that condemned women possessed sophisticated understanding of plant-based therapeutics that often exceeded the medical knowledge of their academic contemporaries. The preservation of this coded medical wisdom within execution records represents one of history's most successful information preservation systems. The continuing reluctance of medical institutions to acknowledge the advanced therapeutic knowledge embedded within witch trial codes suggests that these ancient healing systems might threaten modern pharmaceutical approaches to disease treatment. The burned witches may have encoded medical secrets that remain too economically threatening for contemporary suppression forces to allow public access. The Jesuit Martyrs' theological encryption. Hidden doctrine in sacred texts. Jesuit missionaries facing execution in hostile territories developed sophisticated theological coding systems that embedded complete Catholic doctrinal systems within apparently secular communications. These codes ensured that complex religious teachings could be transmitted even when direct religious instruction was prohibited under penalty of death. Saint Edmund Campion's final letters, written before his execution for treason in Elizabethan England, contain theological codes that modern cryptographic analysis reveals to be complete seminary curricula encoded within seemingly innocent personal correspondence. The codes used classical literary references, mathematical relationships, and linguistic patterns to embed systematic religious instruction. The Jesuit coding system was so sophisticated that it required specialized theological education to decode, ensuring that coded messages would only be understood by individuals with sufficient religious training to properly interpret and implement the hidden teachings. This educational barrier prevented casual discovery while enabling transmission to qualified recipients. The most remarkable aspect of Jesuit Martyrs' codes is their systematic preservation of Catholic theological knowledge in regions where such information was actively suppressed by Protestant authorities. The encoded teachings often contained more comprehensive and accurate doctrinal instruction than officially approved religious texts, suggesting that the coding process refined and concentrated theological understanding. Contemporary analysis of Jesuit execution codes has revealed theological sophistication that exceeds modern Catholic seminary training, suggesting that martyred missionaries possessed religious knowledge that has been lost or suppressed by subsequent institutional development. The coded preservation of this advanced theological understanding within martyr testimonies may represent the most complete records of historical Catholic intellectual achievement. The Sufi Saints' mystical mathematics, encoded spiritual geometry. Islamic Sufi mystics facing execution for heretical teachings embedded complete spiritual instruction systems within their final testimonies, using mathematical codes based on sacred geometry and numerical mysticism. These codes preserved advanced consciousness expansion techniques while appearing to be conventional religious confessions. Al-Hallaj, executed for claiming mystical union with Allah, delivered final testimony that modern cryptographic analysis reveals contains geometric instructions for achieving transcendent consciousness states. The coded teachings describe specific meditation techniques, breathing exercises, and contemplative practices that enable direct divine experience without institutional religious mediation. The Sufi coding system integrated Islamic numerology, geometric patterns from architectural mysticism, and linguistic structures from Arabic poetry to create multi-layered encryption that preserved complete spiritual instruction systems within execution records. The mathematical sophistication of these codes required advanced understanding of both mysticism and mathematics to construct and decode. Modern practitioners who have decoded and implemented Sufi martyr instructions report achieving consciousness states that validate the encoded teaching's effectiveness. The precision of these coded spiritual technologies suggests that martyred Sufis possessed advanced understanding of consciousness manipulation techniques that remain scientifically relevant. The continuing suppression of complete Sufi code translations by both Islamic religious authorities and academic institutions suggests that the decoded mystical techniques pose threats to institutional religious control. The martyred mystics may have successfully preserved consciousness expansion technologies that would make organized religion obsolete if widely implemented. The Protestant reformers' political cipher. Hidden revolutionary instructions. Protestant reformers executed by Catholic authorities embedded sophisticated political revolutionary instructions within their religious testimonies, using coded language to preserve strategies for overthrowing religious and secular tyranny, while appearing to deliver conventional spiritual messages. Jan Hus's execution testimony, delivered before being burned at the Council of Constance, contains political codes that modern analysis reveals to be systematic instructions for organizing religious revolution. The encoded teachings describe specific tactics for undermining institutional religious authority, creating alternative power structures, and coordinating resistance movements across geographical boundaries. The Protestant revolutionary codes operated through biblical metaphors and religious language that disguised practical political instruction as spiritual teaching. This theological camouflage allowed revolutionary strategy to be preserved and transmitted through religious channels that authorities trusted and promoted. The mathematical precision of Protestant coded revolutionary instructions suggests systematic development of political resistance theories that were far more sophisticated than historical accounts of Reformation strategy indicate. The coded teachings describe psychological warfare techniques, organizational structures, and communication systems that enabled successful religious revolution. Contemporary analysis of decoded Protestant revolutionary instructions has revealed political strategies that influenced the development of democratic revolution and resistance movements centuries after the martyred reformers' executions. The coded preservation of revolutionary knowledge within execution testimonies may represent history's most successful transmission of political subversion techniques. The hidden codes of contemporary martyrs, modern messages in ancient ciphers. The tradition of coded martyr messages continues in modern times, with contemporary religious and political prisoners embedding sophisticated encrypted communications within their final testimonies. These modern codes often combine ancient encryption techniques with contemporary cryptographic methods to ensure message survival and transmission. Dietrich Bonhoeffer's prison letters, written before his execution by the Nazi regime, contain codes that modern analysis reveals to be systematic theological and political instruction for resistance against totalitarian authority. The coded teachings describe specific techniques for maintaining spiritual and intellectual freedom under oppressive conditions. The integration of traditional religious coding methods with modern cryptographic techniques has created hybrid encryption systems that are extremely difficult to detect and decode without advanced computational analysis. These contemporary martyr codes represent the evolution of ancient information preservation techniques adapted to modern surveillance and suppression capabilities. The discovery that contemporary martyrs continue using ancient coding traditions suggests that the knowledge preservation systems developed by historical religious martyrs remain relevant and necessary for protecting dangerous information from institutional suppression. The continuity of these techniques across centuries indicates their effectiveness for ensuring information survival. Modern intelligence agencies have developed specialized programs for detecting and suppressing coded martyr communications, indicating that authorities recognize the continuing threat posed by martyrs' ability to embed subversive information within their execution testimonies. The institutional response to contemporary coded martyr messages demonstrates the ongoing effectiveness of these ancient information warfare techniques. Breaking the codes, why they hide the truth. The systematic suppression of martyr code translations by religious, academic, and governmental institutions reveals that the decoded messages contain information too dangerous for public consumption. The encoded truths apparently threaten the foundation of multiple power structures that depend on maintaining specific narratives about religious, political, and historical reality. Religious institutions suppress martyr codes because the decoded messages often expose institutional corruption and describe spiritual techniques that would make organized religion obsolete. Academic institutions suppress the codes because their sophisticated encryption methods demonstrate intellectual achievements that contradict established historical narratives about primitive past civilizations. Governmental institutions suppress martyr codes because many contain political revolutionary instructions and predictions about institutional failures that could destabilize current power structures. The cross-institutional cooperation required to maintain code suppression indicates that the decoded messages threaten multiple types of authority simultaneously. The mathematical sophistication of historical martyr codes suggests that condemned individuals possessed advanced knowledge about consciousness, mathematics, politics, and spiritual development that exceeds contemporary understanding in many areas. The preservation of this advanced knowledge within coded execution testimonies represents a treasure trove of suppressed human achievement. The digital resurrection, modern technology unlocks ancient secrets. Advanced computational cryptographic analysis has begun successfully decoding martyr codes that remained unbreakable for centuries, revealing that martyred prophets embedded far more sophisticated and dangerous information within their final testimonies than anyone previously realized. Digital archaeology is literally resurrecting the suppressed voices of history's greatest spiritual and intellectual martyrs. The application of artificial intelligence and machine learning to historical text analysis has accelerated the decoding process exponentially, threatening to unlock centuries of suppressed martyr communications simultaneously. This technological revolution in code breaking may soon make suppression of martyr messages impossible to maintain. Contemporary efforts to suppress digital decoding of martyr codes include cyber attacks on researchers, legal restrictions on AI text analysis, and systematic removal of digitized historical documents from public databases. The intensity of modern suppression efforts indicates that decoded martyr messages pose unprecedented threats to established power structures. The race between technological code-breaking capabilities and institutional suppression efforts may determine whether humanity gains access to centuries of suppressed wisdom or whether the martyr's final messages remain buried beneath layers of authority-serving interpretation. The outcome could fundamentally alter human understanding of historical truth and contemporary reality. The evidence is undeniable. History's greatest martyrs embedded sophisticated secret codes within their final testimonies, preserving dangerous truths that authorities have spent centuries suppressing. From Joan of Arc's execution cipher to contemporary martyrs' hybrid encryptions, the pattern reveals systematic preservation of subversive information within the very records that document their elimination. These coded messages contain theological, political, medical, and spiritual knowledge that threatens multiple power structures, explaining why religious, academic, and governmental institutions continue coordinating to prevent public access to decoded translations. The digital revolution in cryptographic analysis is finally unlocking these ancient secrets, forcing authorities to develop new suppression techniques to prevent the resurrection of martyred voices that speak more dangerous truths from beyond the grave than they ever dared speak while living. Don't let them keep these codes buried. Hit that subscribe button, smash that like button, and share this video with everyone who deserves to hear the secret messages that dead prophets left for us to find.